When special education teachers are asked to describe their students, they often talk about their students' strengths and needs. But when those same teachers are asked to review IEPs they've written, often there's not much information about students' strengths. Instead, they see a lot of information about weaknesses. This imbalance can be eye-opening for teachers who care deeply about advocating for their students. Our blog series by author, consultant, and former special education director and teacher, Carol Kosnitsky, shares tips on how you can fix this imbalance and create strength-based IEPs. Everyone at an IEP meeting knows the meeting is happening because the child has a disability that affects their education. They also know that a student's strengths can help support self-esteem and growth. Using students' strengths this way is key for their success, but this section in the IEP is often skimmed over, leaving out crucial information. If we want students to participate in their own IEPs, and if we want to help them build resilience and growth mindsets, we have to take another look at how we describe their strengths and needs, both in words and actions. If we want to see greater parent participation in IEPs, we need to do a better job of showing that we believe their kids are more than their disabilities. If we want to use more high-probability strategies, we have to be clearer on what a student can do and what we want them to do next. So if student strengths are a key element of a high-quality IEP, how can we shift from IEPs based on weaknesses to IEPs based on strengths? We can start by taking a lesson from the Transition Planning Playbook and asking each student to think about his or her own strengths, interests, and preferences. As students develop self-awareness, they're better able to first set goals and second, determine what's needed to achieve those goals. Getting this information from the student also gives educators the chance to provide more intentional support. If we know this is true for transition age students, why not apply this for all students, no matter their age? To make sure IEPs don't focus on a student's weaknesses, cast a wide net. Start by finding the student's strengths, interests, preferences, personal attributes and accomplishments, and thinking about the different types of strengths we all have. Let's start with student strengths. Here are some questions you can ask. What does the student excel at? James, for example, is seen by his peers as a leader. Leadership is a strength for James. What is the student able to do at grade or age level? Rachel can make appropriate inferences when reading a grade level text. What does the student do relatively well? You may find that, compared with reading comprehension, Stephen is pretty good at auditory comprehension. Asking questions like these will help shed light on a student's strengths. Next, let's consider a student's interests. By knowing a student's interests, teachers can help them make personal connections to the activities being completed. These connections help students keep trying even when it's tough. Think about the child interested in space. Even though he struggles with comprehension, he's interested enough to work hard at reading about that topic, even complex material. Or think about a student who has a math disability, but a love for sports, and finds that he can relate math to batting statistics. When students are interested in something, that goes a long way to encouraging success. How about student preferences? A teacher who knows a student's preferences can create choices for them. Some students would rather work alone. Others like group work. Some students want to read hard copy textbooks, while others prefer reading on a screen. Offering more choices is an evidence-based practice that leads to better engagement in the learning process. For example, a student may be willing to take bigger risks and dive deeper into a topic when they have the choice to make an oral presentation instead of writing about it. As long as the main purpose of that task isn't about writing, giving that student a choice can be really powerful. A well-written IEP is the product of a well-executed process, but to get there, you may need to reframe what you're doing now. Set yourself up for success by taking these steps before the IEP meeting. 1. Give students a specific time to share their strengths, interests, and preferences. This ensures their voice is included in their IEP and helps with ongoing self-awareness and self-advocacy training. 2. Ask parents about their child's strengths, interests, and preferences. Seeing their child in non-school environments can help broaden their perspective. Keep these things in mind during the IEP meeting. 1. Start every IEP meeting by talking about strengths, interests, and preferences. Go around the table and have everyone give examples. 2. Use the student's own words. If the student isn't at the meeting, bring notes from prep sessions you've had with them. A student's own words will always have a more powerful effect on the adults in the room than your perspective alone. 3. Keep going back to strengths, interests, and preferences as you work on the next sections of the IEP. Turn weakness-based statements into strength-based statements whenever you can. Talk about what the student can do and what the student will do next. When you have the final IEP, make sure that all the language is objective and that it helps you move forward in your planning for that student. Then try to reframe negative statements into objective statements. For example, this is a negative statement. Sam frequently misbehaves and is violent. This can be worded as an objective statement like this. When frustrated, Sam may throw objects or push over his chair. This shouldn't be seen as sugarcoating. The more objective and productive the language in the IEP is, the more effective the IEP will be. If the student didn't have needs and challenges, he wouldn't need an IEP. It's important that we have opportunities to tell the right story, that this child is complex and has a jagged profile, and that their profile includes not just needs, but assets and talents too. How we choose to emphasize, organize, and describe those assets and talents can make a powerful difference in the effectiveness of that student's IEP.